Welcome back to DRZ Productions, everybody. It has been quite a long time, but we have quite the surprise for you. This is the Sig MCX. Now the Sig MCX is kind of the hottest thing of 2020. I decided to go ahead and order one because I have seen this thing all over the internet recently. People have been waiting a long time to get their hands on this, and I just think it's a really cool looking gun. And I want to see what it's all about. I heard it's got a VFC Avalon gearbox in it, it's fully licensed by Sig. That's a big deal in itself. This thing just looks sweet. I've heard nothing but good reviews about it, so I want to see if all the good reviews are actually true. So I went ahead and decided to purchase one myself. It was a little pricey, around $400 for this thing, so we'll see if it really lives up to its name. So first thing I want to point out is this is actually the second time I'm doing a review on this. The first time I did a review, I lost all the audio, so I ended up refilming this entire video. Just for the fans, just for you guys, I redid this entire video so that this gun gets a really good, honest review. This is the box that your Sig MCX will come in. It's a really cool, it's just blacked out box. It's got this blue kind of Sig stripe on the side. It's a little bit more appealing than your cardboard Crytek box with the octopus on it, or your PTS cardboard boxes. So really fancy packaging work. So we're gonna go ahead and just jump right to the gun because I've already taken the gun out of this box. So right here, this is it. This is the Sig MCX. First thing I'm gonna point out, it did come with an orange tip on it when it first arrived in the box. I went ahead and took the orange tip off myself and put a nice steel tip on the front of that. So out of the box, this is exactly how the gun came. It basically came completely bare, and it did not come with any iron sights actually. This is one of the things that I actually was a little surprised by when I opened up the box. This gun doesn't come with iron sights, but that's okay. I mean, it's kind of great as is. You don't need your sights. But for an out-of-the-box, like, go and play airsoft gun, I mean, I couldn't really see a 12-year-old being like, oh, well, what do I use to aim? Well, there's no iron sights. You're going to have to buy some. So that's some extra money you're going to have to spend on some iron sights for this bad boy. So first thing I want to point out is out of the box, this gun is completely solid. There is, like, no wobble in it. The only wobble that there is in the handguard. And that's just from the actual cut of the handguard itself. I mean, that's nothing you can, it's got to be loose because you got to be able to take it on and off, but everything else is solid. Even the stock that retracts, it's completely solid. So it's exactly what I would expect for the price range of this gun. The finish on the Sig MCX is amazing. It's this blacked out finish. It feels like it's just airbrushed on. It is so clean. It kind of reminds me a bit of like the Crytek finish. You know, Crytek's got that perfect paint job that just looks mint out of the box. This has that same finish. So I really like the paint and finish on this. 100% impressed with it. The weight of it, it's pretty hefty for a little SMG. I'd say it weighs about maybe 8 pounds, which is a little hefty for an AEG. I was actually expecting this to be a little bit smaller and a little bit lighter, but it's about the size of like your basic M4. I mean, it makes sense. It's got to take, you know, 5.56 style size magazines, but I was actually surprised by the size of this bad boy. And I think that's because I was totally expecting it to be smaller, like the cousin, the MPX, but yeah, this guy's pretty big. So let's go over some things about the Sig MCX. First off, let's start with the stock. The stock is basically a 2-position tanker style stock. You push a button on the top and you pull the stock right out. It's very simple, very easy to do. And it locks right in place. That has got to be one of the most solid tanker style stocks I've ever felt, and I overall love the look of it. Now from the back of this gun, we're going to move on to the middle of the gun. We're going to start off with the handguard. The handguard is very beefy. It's got a great feel if you have really big hands. Moving on from the handguard, you have ambidextrous fire selectors. So you have one on your right side, and you also have one on your left side. Being fully ambidextrous is one of the nicest things about this gun. We're going to move over to the trigger guard. The trigger guard is bigger, and that's for accessibility for gloves. They always make their trigger guard big enough so they can put a big beefy glove in there. So it's nice because you can use this in the winter. You don't have to worry about like your glove size, enough trigger room, perfect. The trigger itself is just your basic M4 AEG style trigger. Nothing fancy about that. No flat triggers in this. But I would like to see a flat trigger in this. It would be pretty cool. Moving on to your magwell. Your magwell is a basic M4 style magwell, but it's a little bit fancier. It's got the Sig trades on it, and it's kind of slimmed down. It's not just edgy. It's more streamlined, I'd say. And then moving on to our top receiver. On the right side of your top receiver, you do have a forward assist. It doesn't actually do anything. It's just there for look. So our top receiver, much like an M4, pretty similar, only this is all one piece. So your top receiver goes forward a little bit, connects to your top rail. So it's not like an M4 where it cuts off in the middle here. But it's really cool. You know, it's completely solid. It's a bit beefier than an M4, so it's a little bit more weight than your AR-15 style top receiver. But we're going to go ahead and try the charging handle on this. On the other side, you have your bolt release. This was what's a little weird about this gun. This you really need to push. Like, I mean, you have to forcefully push it before your bolt catch goes forward. Out of the box, mine didn't even work. That's one of the strikes I have about this is for an out-of-the-box gun, I would expect the bolt catch to work completely, like as it chips. When I first received this, and I do have an actual video of me messing around with it from a previous video that I took that I ended up scrapping, when I got this out of the box, I pulled the charging handle on this and nothing happened.
Something unique about this bolt release and imitation bolt is that they're actually operated by dual springs because of how the gas system changes with the real MCX. So this actually gives you a really rewarding click and reset that makes it more reliable than a lot of the imitation bolts that cover hop-up units on the market for M4 AEGs. And that's just one more awesome feature of the MCX VIRTUS. Up top, you'll notice that we have a full-length top rail. We haven't included flip-up backup sights in the box, but you've got plenty of options there. And we've thrown a primary arms ACSS Cyclops on here just to give you an idea of what it could look like with an optic. Something I find interesting as well.
It was a little disappointing, but all it was is I opened this up and I moved some springs around and I was able to get the charging handle to work. But you do got to still push that bolt release pretty hard to get that to work. Okay, now moving on to the weirdest thing about this gun is the front receiver and this whole handguard thing up here. Quite odd. A lot of people are not crazy about this. I wasn't crazy about it myself. When I first saw images of this, I thought this was completely hideous. I didn't like this like fish scale type looking air vents handguard. That's something I don't like about the real steel version. It's got nothing to do with the Airsoft version. I thought it was really, really weird. But if you slap a suppressor on this bad boy and it becomes streamlined with the rest of the rail, it looks really sweet. It actually makes the gun look complete. Alright, so I basically covered all the externals about this. Ooh, almost forgot. This gun has QD points everywhere. Your front QD sling mounts will actually work. This is a Magpul QD sling mount. And if you push that button in, that fits in place. That's not going anywhere. But, however, if you try to put the Magpul one in your back sling mount, it will not fit. It won't fit because the ball bearings can't fit inside of the receiver itself because the actual shell of the gearbox protrudes a little too far back and it's a little too wide. Different sling mounts might work, but I know like this average Magpul QD sling mount, it's not fitting in the back, but it will fit in the front. Regardless, that doesn't matter because you have this loop on the bottom here on the back of your retractable stock, which I recommend because you can actually switch from left to right faster using this loop. Alright, so the next thing I want to point out with this gun is the magazine accessibility. It's very important to me as I picked up a few things that kind of threw me off with this gun. So I have 4 different mags here. I have a GMP midcap, a Magpul PTS E mag. I don't even know if they make these anymore. I have your Banff 120 round midcap, and then I have a G&G high cap mag. So let's hear me out. Some really weird, wacky stuff here.
We have found that some of the best fitting magazines in this are the VFC metal magazine as well as the G&P polymer magazines like the Frogman or the EV magazine.
So Evike says that the GMP midcaps work really well. Well, go ahead, put that in. Doesn't really want to go in. Moving on to the Magpul E mags. Fits in there a little bit easier, but there's still resistance. Now we move on to our BAMF mag. Our BAMF mag actually has the hardest time fitting in there. This thing doesn't even want to lock in with the mag catch. So that's really bad. So that's 3 mid caps that don't really fit well in this gun. We're going to move on to the G&G high cap. Now the G&G high cap fits in there perfectly. What I think it is, and I found this myself while playing around with it, is the way that they wire this gun. And let me show you. Now if you look at the bottom of this gun, right down there, look deep inside the mag well. Right here, there is the wire that goes to the front of the gun. Now what's happening, look where it's placed right on the magazine catch. It's almost right on top of the magazine catch. What that is doing is that's leaving you almost no room for your magazine to fit inside that mag well. Now I don't know if every Sig MCX is like this, but if it is, that's a really bad issue. So I'm not trying to expose Sig. I don't get paid to do these videos, so I can freely say whatever I want about a product. But that is something that really is a boo-boo for a gun out of the box. The fact that 3 out of 4 mags don't even fit. And those 3 mags are probably like the top mags that should fit in this gun. Not very good. It's something that you're going to need a tech to fix. A tech's going to need to take that gearbox out and find a way to rewire that wire so that these mags actually do fit properly. Because like I said, this BAMF mag, BAMF's pretty popular mag, kind of used by everybody today. It doesn't even lock in there. It doesn't just, nope. So again, it's not terrible, it's something you want to look at. So that time it worked. See what I mean? When you do get the mags to work, however, they feed pretty well. I haven't had any misfeeds with it. Full auto and semi, it does work well. It's just a matter of the mag actually catching on the mag catch so that they don't fall out. Running around my house with this thing, I've actually had mags fall out on me just running around. I do a video of it. Let's switch. Now out of the box, this gun is pretty freaking powerful. It chronoed at around 380 FPS with 0.25 gram BBs. And then it comes with, actually, this is one of the best features about it. This gun comes with a downgradable spring. If it shoots too hot out of the box, you can easily downgrade it to about, I think, 345 FPS with 0.25s. Which brings us to another topic and one of the best features about this gun. Now the Sig MCX comes with this downgradable spring in the box. Why? Because it's got a quick change spring guide. And not like Crytek's where you have to take the whole gearbox apart. No, you can actually change the spring in this gun without having to take the gearbox out of the gun. And I'll show you how. What you have to do is remove the stock. It's very simple. It's just one Allen key on the back of your stock. Once you get this screw and cap piece off, you put that to the side. And all you gotta do is just slide your stock right up and off. What's really unique about this is this is actually an RIS rail on the back of this gun. This is gonna make it easier for in the future when upgradable stocks start getting released for this gun. I believe there is an M4 style buffer tube adapter you can get for the back of this. Now what's also cool is it's not just your RIS rail, it's also your quick change spring guide. If you look on the back of this RIS rail has also got an Allen key port in the back of it. Take an Allen key, push that in there, push in, turn, twist, and pull out. And that's how you change your spring. Go ahead and pull your spring out, put the downgrade spring in, put your spring guide back on their spring, and push that sucker back in, just like that. And that's how you change the spring on the Sig MCX. You can also run this without the stock too. I mean, that's totally an option. Speed softwares might like that. Okay, so moving on to the internals of this gun. First thing we're going to talk about is the battery accessibility. To put a battery in this, it's very simple. All you have to do is remove this front pin and then slide your front receiver right off. The pin won't come completely out because there's another pin sitting in there. One thing you're going to want to be careful of is when you do remove this pin, it also unlocks your entire top receiver, but we're not trying to do that. We're just trying to get the front receiver off. It's good to hold your top receiver and just slide your front rail off. Now, you have plenty of battery space up here. A lot of critics say there's not much battery space in this gun. I beg to differ. You can fit an 11-1 stick type on the top, you can fit an 11-1 butterfly type on the bottom, 7.4 on the top, 7.4 butterfly on the bottom, plenty of battery space. Now what a lot of people don't realize, and they don't tell you this in the instruction manual, I kind of figured this out myself. These two screws right here, go ahead and remove those two screws. So when you remove these two screws, it actually removes the barrel. There's a little cap piece, you take that off, there's one on the other side as well. If you slide your barrel forward, you don't need to take it out all the way. Just slide it out a little bit. You can go ahead and you can actually fit an 11-1 LiPo on the top here. You take your 11-1 LiPo, stick it up on the top, and then slide your barrel back in. And your LiPo is it's actually cut to the exact length of that battery. Push this in, put your barrel locks back on, and make sure you tighten those screws too, because you don't want your barrel falling off. Now once you screw your barrel back in, your battery's in place and it can't get out. It's stuck in there because this overlapping piece of metal here, part of your rail, prevents you from putting a battery in by itself. You have to take the battery out, or you got to take the barrel out to do that. So instead of putting a battery on the bottom of the barrel, I'm going to put one on the top. Once you get your battery in there, you can go ahead and plug it in, and then kind of fold the wires back over themselves, and you can slide this back on. Just like that. Once your battery's all wired and together, and once you get your rail cover back on, go ahead and push that pin back through so that your handguard doesn't come off. And now you're wired up and ready to go. So it's very simple to put a battery in here. That seems complicated, but that's actually the way of getting more space. Otherwise, you'll need a battery to fit just on the bottom. So if you want to put more battery space in there, take advantage of removing the barrel and putting a battery right on top. Now the Sig MCX has a VFC Avalon gearbox on the inside of it. The VFC Avalon gearbox has a built-in MOSFET. The MOSFET gives you better trigger response, and it basically protects the whole electrical system of the gun. So we're going to go ahead and test out our trigger response. Let's go ahead and try full auto. Gun is on safe. Let's go ahead and take a look at our hop-up. Let's pull back our charging handle. The hop-up is a wheel-style hop-up, similar to a Crytek's, but it's a little bit smaller and it's a little bit stiffer. It's got to be smaller because it's got to fit in this custom top receiver of the Sig MCX, but it's a basic plastic hop-up. I don't know what type of bucking they use, probably just a VFC bucking of some type. Hop-up access, very simple, locks back. There you go. So something that SIG should look at for future products is, I think, SIG or VFC, whoever built this, I don't really know what the contract is, needed to do a little bit better of quality control work with this gun. It feels like they rushed to kind of get it out onto production because there was such a high demand for it, and they missed quite a few small things in this. One being the QD sling mount in the back doesn't work with some QD attachments. Two being that some magazines don't fit or just don't work completely because of the wire issue. For me, three being that the bolt catch did not work out of the box. That's something that they should really look at. So yeah, overall, it's a really cool gun. I just feel like they should have spent a tad bit more time working out all the bugs and kinks in it. So $400 for something that has the kinks as it does, that's up to you. That's your own personal opinion. But the magazine problem, that's something that really is a little disappointing. But everything else on this is pretty solid. But it is going to lose 2 stars because of some of the minor things that it had right out of the box. But yeah, this was a fun experience. I really enjoyed this. One of the things I like about it is its versatility. In actual terms of using it and movement around a field, it feels like something that will be extremely comfortable to use, and I really can't wait to get out and actually use this on the field and see how well it actually performs. One cool thing I want to point out is my favorite feature on this is how it just kind of works with your kit and how it's very comfortable to use with your kit with a 1-point sling or just to be really fast and kind of move around easily with it. But yeah, once again, everybody, this is the Sig MCX. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to like and subscribe. Leave some comments down below on your thoughts of the Sig MCX. I mean, they're pretty cool. If you're like a really, into it airsoft player and it's something you feel like you want, go for it. I'm not going to tell you not to. This is definitely something that I really like and can't wait to use myself. So once again, thank you, everybody. I will try to get more videos up in the future. This has been DRZ Productions. Peace out, everyone.